And like you said, just going home to my parents, to my dog, in that moment, all my problems would cease to exist. And they would be there to care for me. And, truly family is, blood is thicker than water at the end of the day.
All right, it's my lucky day. The lovely Shreya Chaudhry is in studio. For those of you still living under a rock, Bandish Bandits' second season is out. It's wonderful, and I did a chat with the entire cast. I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but I just felt now, post the show and all of you watching it, it'd be wonderful to do a one-on-one with her so that we can kind of track her career more in depth. I'm very happy to see you. How are you?
Thank you. That was such a sweet intro. Super excited to be here in your studio because we've only met either on Zoom or like in a hotel during promotions. So
yeah, this is my crib. I mean, it's a little dark. It's a little sultry. It's my bat cave.
It's a very cool bat cave, and I've only imagined because I obviously follow your show a lot. So I still always wonder what goes into being an RJ and having that captivating voice, and very, very happy to be here in your bat cave.
Yeah, in my bat cave. It used to have a lot more mystery because before video came in.
Yeah.
I guess the world has become a voyeuristic place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wherever you go, there are cameras, and for somebody like you, you've gotten used. You have to get used to it. Have you gotten used to it? Have you gotten used to being papped all the time, or does it still do you have to grow a thicker skin? How were you as a child? Did you gravitate towards the camera? Because then it would be easier if you were always the ones that your parents said, okay, come on, Shreya, put on a performance. We have people here.
Yeah, I think that's a very common Indian parent trait,
thing,
right?
Yeah.
Actually, coincidentally, I growing up was quite shy. I was quite an introvert. And I only felt calm when I was on stage and I had an audience. That was the only time I didn't feel conscious of myself. So it's very interesting because when I was myself, maybe in a classroom or at home, a lot of other thoughts going on. But when I used to be on stage is when I used to feel, I can say, alive and feel very not pressured at all, just happy. So I still remember my first audition also. I had no idea about, because somebody asked me to audition for, an ad, and I didn't really have plans of becoming an actor because I didn't know how it happens. Like, how do you become an actor, So I remember when I saw the camera there and she gave me a script, and I'd obviously done stage before that. So learning the lines was not the problem. I obviously didn't understand what it is technically to, favor a camera or whatever. But I felt very comfortable and easy. It wasn't intimidating. But yes, this is a different aspect of, people maybe clicking you or video, recording you and stuff like that, which is something I have come to terms with now. I've realized it's a part of the job. Yeah. And the days I'm looking great, I'm okay with it. The days maybe when I'm not, I'm like, oh, okay. But no, on a lighter note.
How can somebody like you quantify how you're looking great and not looking great? Just as off the cuff, I was coming out of one of my interviews out of a suburban hotel, and Shreya's walking in, and she spotted me, and she came over to say hi. She didn't have an ounce of makeup on, not even basic foundation. And I was like, oh my God. And a slight open jaw moment happened. And I said, I have to say something to quantify that. Otherwise, she's going to think I stare, which is not a good thing. And I went, my God, you look even more beautiful without the makeup. So how can you quantify how you look and you don't?
That's very kind.
You probably, you'd roll out of bed looking like that.
Oh, so. That's very kind of you. I think more than external, it's internal. It's how I'm feeling inside. I could have amazing hair and makeup and an amazing outfit on and still not feel like, oh, I look great today. So I think it's also maybe a little related to my state of mind. That kind of translates. I could be in my bare minimum. Like, for example, there are days when I'm clear where I'm like, I will not put makeup, even if there are going to be cameras there. For example, going to the gym. I don't think that's something that's even healthy to do, to put makeup when you go to work out. So that way I have that kind of confidence where I'm like, yeah, this is how it is. But yeah, it is a more state of mind thing.
What is your zodiac sign?
What do you think it is?
Sagittarius.
Scorpion. How close.
Did you say you're Scorpio?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
All my closest friends are Scorpio. I'm Cancer. Cancer, Scorpio are
Hey, lovely.
friendship
Yes.
signs.
I know quite a few Cancerians.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, this thing you said about being on stage and being very calm, I feel exactly the same way. It's almost, there was a phase in my life, I'm better now, where I used to be just a man of few words off the mic. But when I got onto the mic, and India's a labor-intensive country.
Yes.
In the UK and the US, radio hosts or disc jockeys on radio stations would do 2 or 3 hours tops. We do like 5-hour shows. It doesn't mean we talk for 5 hours. We'll play like 2 songs and we'll talk. We'll play a song and we'll talk.
Yeah.
If you want to grab a coffee, go out, play 3 songs, whatever.
Okay.
But it's still long sessions of talking.
it's
And I was like,
interesting to know.
why is it that when I'm on the microphone, it's so easy for me to just talk? And sometimes and most of the times when I'm not on the microphone, I'm in my shell. I retreat into my crab shell.
Yeah.
And then
like a hermit.
and I finally found the answer to that.
Yeah.
I think there are some people who find their performing career, which is when you're in front of the microphone or in front of the camera or on stage in your case, very present. Like they say, your present moment awareness is at its peak.
Absolutely.
You're not thinking of your past, you're not thinking of your future, you're thinking of the here
In the
and
moment.
now. And that is what meditation is, isn't it? I mean,
It
they always say
is.
meditation is concentrating your breath. Why? Bring yourself back to the moment.
Absolutely.
Japo mantra. Why? Bring yourself back to the moment.
Absolutely.
So that meditative state for actors and even divers, deep sea divers,
Yes, absolutely.
is just brings them to the moment.
Yeah, so true. In fact, even a lot of people that I have interacted with and had the fortune of interacting with, say Nasir sir, also speaks about how acting is breathing. Like if you concentrate on your breath, then you're home. And it's not easy when you're constantly if you have focus on your breath, and that it is meditative, right? But also I think over and above that, being present in the moment is definitely one of the reasons you feel alive. But I think for me, what had happened was that growing up, maybe, I don't know why, because I've grown up in a very lovely atmosphere. I live with my parents even now, and they never pressurize me for anything. But maybe some external societal pressures, when you're performing, you're not really Shreya, you're that character. When you are working, you're obviously representing yourself, but you are your character, for example. And at that point, you don't take the load of the judgment, because you're like, that's a character, But when you are yourself, you're like, everything being directed to me is for me. So I feel maybe that was something, and I realized that a little later, maybe when I turned 20, 21, when I was in college, that was happening. And now today I'm much easier, so is why for me I relate to what you're saying. I used to be a person of very few words. I would not really start talking to somebody unless they spoke to me. Once I started speaking, I wouldn't stop. So you're in for trouble today, but
No, I'm not complaining at
you
all.
need to nudge me a little bit to kind of let my guard down.
No, this is wonderful that you stay with your parents. It's just wonderful.
Oh, it really is.
Life as an actor is not easy. There are lots of rejection.
Yes.
Much as people say wonderful things to you about your performance and the way you look and yada yada yada, it's never directly proportional, is it? It's not proportional to the work that you gain.
You can't quantify the success.
You can't,
there
and
either.
you do a great audition, and then you come back home and you're told you're rejected.
Yeah.
I would rather, that you came back to a house full of warmth and love with parents.
Absolutely.
Than you came home alone.
Yeah.
And and that's fantastic. So I know a lot of actor friends of mine who've worked on their mental health, but others who haven't, who will come back and reach for not just a drink, or maybe too many of them, or a relationship when they really don't need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you say that has made you even more secure being with your parents? Yeah?
Oh, 100%. I truly feel
Like a blanket, isn't it?
it really is, because and it's just the atmosphere in your home, right? For me, a lot of people will be like, oh, why don't you live by yourself? But for me, like you said, it's the happiness that even during when I was shooting for Bandish Bandits season 2, I was shooting another project simultaneously. So it used to get a little, like we spoke about, it would get a little hectic, and then I would go home, and like you said, just going home to my parents, to my dog, in that moment, all my problems would cease to exist. And they would be there to care for me. And, truly family is, blood is thicker than water at the end of the day. And not just that, I also feel it's very important for everyone to have somebody in the capacity of either family, if that's possible. If you live here alone, then a friend, or even a therapist. You need somebody to speak to that can kind of, you can speak openly to. So I luckily have that in the form of my parents. I can really just offload,
Do you
to
have
them.
siblings or are you the only daughter?
I do have a sibling. I have a brother, an older brother, but he doesn't live in Mumbai. He lives abroad. But again, he's also somebody I can just pick up the phone on.
Lovely.
And then
Do you
move
go
on.
visit him? Where is he? In the US?
Very
or
often.
where?
Yes, he's in the US.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So family holidays are pretty much worked out.
Yes.
Either you go visit him or all of you together go somewhere.
Yeah, we
That's
all
wonderful.
just, we have to do a trip once every year. So that's just, it's a non-negotiable.
I know that post Bandish Bandits, you get asked this a lot about your own singing capabilities. Surprisingly, I've never asked you that. So I said, what is that cliche thing I've never asked? And I've never asked you this.
Yeah.
Have you become a better singer? Have you used, even though you don't technically have to sing, use this performance to get more melody into your life, more soul into your life? I don't know.
You have to be a good singer to get better. To begin with. But very beautifully, a lot of people said that nobody is besura. That is just not the, you can't exist in nature if you are besura. It's just the law of nature. It's probably, you're doing something wrong, probably, where is why you can't sing as beautifully as maybe a lot of people. And of
Or
course,
maybe
they
you're
work
not feeling
very
good.
hard.
Yeah, right,
They work very hard. There's a lot of technicality to music, and some people are born with it. For me, I don't think I can call myself a singer, but most definitely just living the life of a singer who has also gone to music school, the kind of discipline that they have, it actually all stems from there. It's the discipline that they have, it's the dedication that they have. For them, truly, and I'm sure a lot of other people, but their music is worship, like how we say work is worship. I saw that with my teachers, for them, they were not on screen, but they would make sure that, we were doing right by, music and the world of music. So they were so invested, and that only comes because they absolutely love what they do. And they wake up every morning and they keep practicing. So for me, yes, I think it has definitely added a lot of sur in a very metaphorical way. Can I sing today? Maybe in a bathroom. Do I sing publicly? No.
Don't you do the odd karaoke night?
Yeah, that I love. Those I love. I absolutely adore those.
I love the ones that at some point in the night, most people are so inebriated that they don't care about singing. And they just join you in chorus.
Sometimes the most amazing person to watch perform is somebody who doesn't care whether sur lag raha hai ki nahi lag raha hai. He's just enjoying, or he or she. And you're just like, man, that person's having so much fun. I want to have that much fun. So that's what music does, I think. It just makes you feel good.
The Radhe relationship,
Yeah.
the Radhe Tamanna relationship is a complicated one.
Yeah, to say the least.
You could argue that which relationship is not complicated, but the amount of thought that must have gone into that relationship.
Yeah.
Because, how you view this relationship is really the kind of person that you are. If you're an old school romantic, you're like, oh my God, they should get back together with each other. Why are they wasting time? If you're the kinds who say, you've got to move on. Why should we be stuck in a rut? You want them to have their respective boyfriends. It could be Ron Gurbakhshani's character or Jalli's character.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there are these discussions between the two of them, and there are lots of those discussions in Bandish Bandits season 2 when they actually talk about each other's relationships. And they were like, why are these two people who love each other so much not together? Is that a question you ever asked, or just as an actor, did you just say, I've got to play this, I've got to play this? Why would two people who are so much in love with each other not together?
It was actually, I asked the exact same question at some point when I was reading the script, because I am quite an old school romantic myself. And it's beautiful for any project to have polarizing views, because that's exactly what we want people to do. We want them to think and be so invested that they're actually thinking and asking such questions. So it's actually quite lovely to hear. everybody's take on the relationship. And I did, have a conversation with Anand about this, about a lot of things. It wasn't just, specific to say Tamanna and Radhe. It was just like a blanket discussion because him and, the makers, Anand and Amrit, and the writers have really, I think, poured their heart into their concept of love and art and music and, just the entire concept of being artists. So I did ask him, and if you really get into nitty-gritties, there's a lot of questions that we don't even realize sometimes that this is a problem. Maybe because of conditioning, it could be anything. Maybe because of the kind of movie somebody watches, the exposure that they've had when they're, in their impressionable years. So I feel like it would be, it wouldn't be right to bring up that discussion because it was a very lengthy one. Yeah. But he did explain to me at a lot of the scenes, for example, the climax scene, what Radhe and Tamanna are talking to each other.
What a scene that is, yeah.
So it is, and when he said that to me, it made so much sense to me, like, what he was saying as to
I would
why
love to know, because, one is self-discovery. We all understand that everybody has to discover themselves. Mm-hmm. One cannot lose themselves in any relationship, whether it's a marriage or it's a boyfriend and a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to say, I want to discover myself, I'm never going to discover myself and reach that level of self-discovery if I'm with you, even though I love you. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's beautiful because there are two perspectives here. There's Tamanna's perspective and there's Radhe's perspective. And nobody gets to decide who's right and wrong, right?
Correct, yeah.
But for Tamanna's character,
and he knows only one way, like he keeps saying.
He does. And that's probably why, Tamanna even loves Radhe, because of this aspect of him. But for Tamanna's character, there's a lot of understanding and realizations that she gets from Divya ma'am's character, Nandini, where she does realize that there are a lot of times she feels very small. She probably does not feel good about herself or doesn't feel like she can do something. Which is why she enrolls in the school in any case. Yeah. Exactly. And he is also the motivation for her to go to music school. So it's kind of beautiful, and that's what love is about. But love does not mean ownership. Love does not mean two people have to be together. There can be love. And I'm not saying whether they're together or not. We've kind of left that open. It's up to, maybe we'll find out in some time about what happens to them. But definitely, I feel love can exist even if two people are not together. You don't have to be with the person that you love. You can learn to coexist and love from a distance. And there are different reasons that, bother people. And don't ever
That's a very evolved statement to make.
That's what we're trying to say.
Can you live like that?
It's very hard. It's very hard.
It would gnaw at me.
It would be very hard.
If I felt for some... If they didn't feel for me, okay. Then it's justified. But if I knew somebody felt for me and I felt for them... And then I have to stay away. It would gnaw the hell out of me.
100%. 100%. I don't deny that at all. It's very difficult. But I also feel it's just it's kind of like we're just trying to get people thinking. Not the typical, ye red flag hai, this is the problem, this is why they're toxic. Not, love is just, you cannot describe love, right? So how can you describe the problems of love? Love can exist in so many ways. We've picked up one aspect of it and we're like, okay, this is, our take on it. This is why, these two people should be together or maybe shouldn't be together. This is what we feel. How do you feel? How are we making you feel? As long as we're making you feel, we're home, right? But yeah, for you and me to discuss this right now, it would be very tough for me to stay away from somebody if I really love them. But yes, I think it's very important to understand for either or person, you need to be the wind beneath each other's wings. You need to be able to uplift each other in whatever sense and feel happy for each other. Now, I'm not talking about Radhe and Tamanna because that we would have to really dissect scenes and explain that. But for me, I've realized, when I was probably a teenager, it was like, oh, where do I feel butterflies when I'm speaking to somebody? Now I'm just like, I want to feel a sense of peace and calmness and feel like myself and okay to be myself because there's enough judgment in this world. And I want that person to feel like themselves and be okay to be themselves without feeling judged. That's lovely.
So I don't know if the Paps took this from your Insta feed, but there's a picture of you as an overweight child.
Yes. Yeah.
Were you an overweight child?
Yes, I was.
Oh, God. Now, I could start a whole new interview on this. So here's me. I mean, I'm obviously overweight. It took me a lot of time to get comfortable in front of the camera, which is why I used to hide behind a mic and I used to build mystery for everybody because I was so uncomfortable with the way I look.
Oh.
Now I don't care anymore.
Okay,
Because,
that's great.
I mean, if
yeah.
it's the way it is, it's the
Yeah,
way it is.
absolutely.
You know, I'll jump into the
No,
shower.
it's
and
great the way it is.
Yeah, I'll jump into the shower here and come here. If I have time, I would have combed my hair. Otherwise, I'll just let it be. And if my paunch is visible on camera, so be it. It's as simple as that. But for the longest time, even when there were phases when I went on these hard diets and I lost some weight. In my mind, I was always a fat kid.
So I'll always be in my
So my
mind
question
that
is
kid.
that.
That is, yeah.
Because it's a very difficult one to get rid of, you know.
It'll never leave you.
Yeah? You
Take it
think
from
so?
me. I
No
still
matter how
have
many
the
people
mind.
come and tell you, oh my God, you're gorgeous, you're wonderful, this, that, is there, isn't it?
It's always there. And it was at a very crucial time of my life as well. I was in my first year of college, not degree college, junior college, which is when, you start interacting with boys and you see boys speaking to girls and you see them not speaking to you maybe because of maybe your
Because
weight.
everybody is shallow at that
Everybody
age.
shallow. And it's fine. It's okay, But then there were a few who would still speak to you and that teaches you a lot. So I actually feel very happy and even the post that I wrote, I loved myself even then. I never felt underconfident about myself at all. The only reason I decided to kind of maybe lose weight was genuinely for health reasons. At that time there was nothing else. I just realized the importance of being fit mentally and physically. And to be very honest, I was very confident at that time as well in my life. It was just beautiful to see how people respond to you when you look, suppose, a particular way and as opposed to when you look in another
Especially
way.
the guys who ignored you at that point and suddenly they go, oh, what happened to her?
Yeah,
You went there on a random
that's true.
place. No, but you hadn't made up your mind about being an actor by then.
By then, no.
Yeah.
In a couple of, few more years.
Yeah, so it wasn't for the acting. It was just like, I've got to gain control of my
Yes,
life,
yeah.
of my health, which is
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. But has happened? Has somebody come and said, oh, you were that same Shreya? Has that happened?
Yeah, it has. There were a lot of people who were very shocked because what happened was that I was doing science in 11th and 12th grade. So you're literally, you're not meeting anybody. You're just studying. Then I switched. I switched to mass media, which is in the arts stream. And that's when I decided I want to be an actor, and I really started working on myself. It had already started the process, but I really spearheaded it with all guns blazing. And then I remember I had gotten an ad, and people didn't recognize me. People were like, "That's Shreya," because they had not sort of seen me for the past few years, especially from my first year of college. So there were a lot of people who did not recognize me. It was very interesting.
Interesting. And at what point did you feel that you wanted to become a crime beat journalist?
This was right before right after junior college, when I was like, okay, now what do I want to do? So I was very good at maths and science, and at that time everyone was either becoming a doctor or an engineer. I come from a family of doctors and engineers and lawyers and mathematicians, and so I was like, okay, this is, the way of life. This is how I know it. This is how everyone around me is. And then actually my parents, very interestingly, we were on a holiday and they sort of told me, they were like, are you doing this because, you are doing it because everyone's doing it? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, do you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life? And I was like, no, not really. I don't really enjoy it. So they probably recognized at that point that I used to enjoy writing. And they nudged me that, if you think you can write, they're like, what can you do for the rest of your life? So at that point I'd said writing, and I'd said performing and stuff like that. They did not ever in their, in their wildest dreams think I would want to become an actor. But they knew I enjoyed writing. So at that point I really I was considering becoming a crime journalist. And then I kind of switched to advertising and wanting to become a copywriter. But it's both, related to writing. So so it
And
was
this is also
then.
the time, I think, when perhaps you were in school and college, all the ganglands were being written about.
Yes.
A lot has changed in Bombay.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that, there were all these encounter specialists, they came, the mafias, more or less gone
sort
away.
of exited. Yeah.
But those days it was big, and the movie makers were all making movies about it, and, there was a
Quite scary
sense
as
of
well, yes.
quite scary,
Yeah.
But yeah, ever wonder if you'd done maybe forensics, a course in forensics, and got down to reportage, life would be very different.
It would have been very different, very interesting. I'm still very interested in it. So like we were discussing earlier, if there's anything related to crime, a show, a film, I jump on it. Like I remember watching an interview. I can't call it an interview. It was news reporting. During a very difficult time that our city faced, which was 26/11, I was a little girl, and I remember seeing journalists there reporting. It's not easy. It's a very, very hard job. And I remember it doing something to me like the way an actor, did to me when I watched a particular film. So I just feel like these things really, kind of were the reason why I gravitated towards them.
So, are you in a position to talk about the other thing that you were filming for along with Bandish Bandits, or do you have these watertight contracts that you can't talk about them?
No, we can talk about it because we've already had an international premiere of it as well, and it's up for release this year.
Which is that one?
So it's called the Mehta Boys. It had its...
The Boman one?
Yes, it's his directorial debut. And it's written by him, and it's also co-written by an Oscar-winning writer, Alexander Sir, who's written Birdman and Revenant.
Wow.
And it's a very, very beautiful script, and something that it's very relatable. It talks about relationships, primarily.
This is the Mehta family, is a Baba Mehta family? Is a Parsi family? No.
Gujarati.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because these days Parsis also Mehtas. So.
Yes, that is true.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are you part of the family? You're one of the family?
I
am.
am.
An outsider?
I'm basically Avinash Tiwari, his girlfriend in the film. He is Baman Sir's son. So I play the character
Baman
Sarah.
started these amazing screenplay
Yes,
workshops.
Spiral Bound. Yeah.
Did you attend any of them?
It's so insane. I manifested working with him because I remember this was towards the end of, I think 2022 or something like that, if I've got the timeline right. And a friend of mine told me about Baman Sir's, course. And in fact, Alexander comes there as, a guest, guest speaker and stuff. And my friend knew how much I love Birdman. So he's like, you must do this course. And anyways, I started buying books on screenplay writing because I thought it would really help. And since I like writing as well, I was like, it really helped me as an actor to kind of, understand the script better. So I heard about this course. I wanted to apply for it. And then something happened. I think it was holiday season or whatever. I said, in the new year, I'll apply for this. And within a week, I got a call from the casting bay, saying there's this film that we're casting for that Baman Sir is directing. It's written by him and it's co-written by Alexander. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I have manifested this audition into my life. So that's when I was like, I have to land this role. And I really want to be a part of this film. So that's how that film journey
Wasn't
started.
it premiered in an international film festival? Which one was that?
It was at the Chicago South Asian Film
Did you
Festival.
go?
I did, yes.
It must have been wonderful. Festival audiences are
It was
lovely.
my first festival ever with a project of mine. And it was phenomenal to be, at an international kind of platform and have people watch your film and react to it and seeing it in real time. Because, usually when you have a film release, your audience is usually like, the makers and, friends and family and everybody. So these are like absolute strangers. And they're not going to mince their words because they really have nothing to do with you. And they were so lovely. They said such insightful things. Like you said, film festival audiences are very, very special. Then we also premiered at IFFI, which happens in Goa. And we just had, unfortunately, I couldn't be a part of that because of work, but we had a premiere in Germany as well, in Berlin. So very, very excited for people to watch it now here at home in India and see how they...
When is the theatrical? Do you have a date?
So it's actually releasing directly on Prime Video.
Oh.
Yeah. And the date hasn't been announced yet, so waiting.
I'm a big championer of Boman Irani's lifetimes, his work. Not that he needs me. He's such a accomplished man. He's lovely. He's just lovely.
Amazing. He's
and that family, those two boys and Zenobia,
man.
they're just wonderful.
Yeah.
They bring all the love that the Parsi community and the Dadar Parsi colony stands for.
In fact, I always say this to Sir and Ma'am that when I saw them, with each other during especially workshops and while we were shooting and stuff, and since we traveled all together for these festivals as well, they really made me believe in love again. in a very beautiful way. They're really, for me, the epitome of beautiful love. So yeah, I feel very lucky that I can have him in the capacity of a mentor, of almost like a father figure. I really love Boman sir.
And we have a mutual, very close friend called Kunal Vijayakar.
Oh yes, he came with us to Chicago.
So Kunal, out of all his choice of friends, Boman is the safe bet. The little bit of time he has left, he spends with Cyrus Brocha, which drives him nuts. Just joking. And when Kunal and myself and Boman ever get together, it's only food.
Yes, and I'm a huge foodie, so I had such a blast. And I actually used to watch Kunal sir's show as well.
Yeah.
And we were on flight, and you won't believe it, his show was on the flight. So, and we were sitting
cool.
like he was sitting right in front of me. So I was like, Kunal, your show is on the flight, and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And in fact, even Boman sir's son Danish, who's also the producer of the film, is also a huge foodie. So like him, me and Kunal every day would be like, where are we going to eat? Where are we doing breakfast, lunch and dinner? That was all we were worried about. And like literally that would be half our time. Everybody else would be like figuring other things, okay, sightseeing, this, that. We'd be like, where are we eating? What are we eating? We have to do this, we have to do this. There's a show called The Bear.
Yeah,
which
of course.
is also in Chicago, and we were all big fans, and we were like, okay, we have to go eat there.
How does it work now? You're not a mainstream A-list star yet, but you've done enough work to garner a lot of love and respect. You're on your way. You're on your way.
Yeah, I feel like I've just
job.
started, my journey.
So, how does it work? Do you keep in touch with casting directors? Do you attend casting calls?
Yeah.
Do you meet with directors directly? How does it, or a combination of all?
Yeah, combination of everything. I feel in times of today, things are very streamlined. So there is, our casting directors who, who've been amazing and been such a, invaluable part of my journey. Every project that I've landed till now is because of, a casting call that I've gotten. So it's very streamlined. There are casting calls that happen. There's sometimes a director or a writer, especially when your work comes out and they see it, they reach out to you directly and you do a narration. So it's a bit of both.
Sorry to interrupt, but you also have to show your work to people because there's so much of content out there, Shreya. So a mainstream A-list filmmaker might not have the time to go and watch 8 episodes of Bandish Bandits. So do you do that also? Maybe show a clip or, forward a clip? Or is it more I'll test for your role?
There actually weirdly a lot of people have watched Bandish Bandits. Luckily, a lot of directors that I really want to work with have watched it and reached out and spoken to me about it. So that way, like I've been, I feel very lucky to be a part of the projects that I have been. But also for me, I mean, there comes a point, as an actor where they feel that, I mean, when you feel like, okay, now you don't really need to audition and things. But I feel very confident in auditioning because that's the way I know it.
Lovely.
That's the way I've kind of entered this industry.
And in a way, you're honing your skill, even when you're not on set.
Absolutely. And you always want the entire team to be, including yourself, to be 100% convinced that, you are made for this role. So I feel there is no harm in that or no shame for an actor to kind of do that. So I think it's a crazy combination of it all. And sometimes you don't even know how. Like I met Anand at a fitting for an ad campaign that we were doing. We were not a part of the same ad, but it was the same ad campaign. And that's where I met him, and we just started speaking, and that's how he asked me to audition for Bandish Bandits. Wow. So it's very interesting. I was randomly with a friend somewhere, and her friend was the casting associate on the first ad that I ever did, and she just randomly asked me to audition for that ad. So it's quite interesting how sometimes the universe can make things happen for you, and you one thing leads to the other, and you can never connect the dots, but after a few years, like after 2-3 years, you'll be like, oh, okay, this happened because of that, So it's quite lovely.
And I'm so glad that somebody who works in Indian cinema, in Bollywood, is got her antenna up and she listens to a lot of international music. So what's on your playlist? Who are singers and artists who speak to you, whose lyrics or music still gives you goosebumps?
I actually found myself, besides obviously the album of Bandish Bandits, which I truly love, and we were also performing them. Internationally, there was so I actually grew up listening to a lot of the music my parents listened to,
Retro!
Yes,
How
and
cool!
they love bands. They're huge fans of Queen and Beatles.
Oh my God, that
So-
Freddie Mercury. Oh
Yes,
my God.
so basically when I was prepping for Bandish, the days when I wanted to feel motivated, the days I wanted to feel happy, the days I wanted to put myself maybe in a state of mind because of a scene, I would actually I found myself listening to a lot of Queen because I find their music. I never listened to them the way I did when I was listening to them during
It's
Bandish
rock
Bandits.
opera. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's beautiful, you know. And then there's so much that every time I heard the song, I would discover something new. Even the words, I think, are lovely. There's a song particularly that I love called Pressure. That's my happy song, weirdly.
There's a under pressure version of Freddie Mercury and David Bowie together.
Yes,
which is
that's
also-
the one I would listen to. That's
Oh
the
my
one.
God,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
lovely.
correct.
You know, these guys have just gone too soon, Shreya.
I think so.
You know, John Lennon again
Yeah.
in his 30s.
Yeah.
Freddie in his 30s. It's so sad because
It
if
is.
they had lived, they would have created so much more.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely. I mean, it's a huge loss to this world. Like artists, like so many of them. But it's so beautiful to see how, you know, their legacy lives on through their work because that's how beautiful their art is, you know. There's so many of them that I can think of. In fact, where my brother lives, there's an EMP, a music museum, where they've kind of kept Kurt
Which city
Cobain's
is this?
Seattle.
It's the home of grunge rock.
Yes.
Yeah, Pearl Jam.
Yes, correct.
Nirvana, they're all from Seattle.
Yeah. So they have, in fact, you know, his guitars over there. His final note is also over there. So there's so much music. In fact, I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a neurosurgeon, one of my dearest childhood best friends, and she told me that even during, you know, their operations, they play music in the OT to kind of get the entire team to calm down and, you know, concentrate and not have their mind, you know, deviate or etc. So it's amazing what music can do to a person. I think it's the fastest way to connect with art. And like they say, art is a direct route to God, right?
Yeah,
So you put on some earphones, sitting somewhere, it's lovely. So I think music has become a huge part of not just my life, but my work life. It really helps me
Do
concentrate.
you like any of the current crop? Do you like Bruno Mars? Do you like Billie Eilish?
Love, absolutely.
Yeah.
Adore
There's
Billie
some very
Eilish's
interesting
voice
stuff.
and her brother, who is just so phenomenal. I think he's such a talent. And all of them. In fact, I love those videos of Charlie Puths that were doing the rounds where there would be a sound and he would tell you what scale it is, and I find that very interesting.
These are guys who studied music. He went
yeah.
to Berkeley,
Yes,
Charlie Puth. These
yes,
guys are amazing.
Yes. So
It's like the maths in Bandish
Yes,
Bandits.
you know, and even people speak very specifically about just the Fibonacci, but there's also, you know, there is also the Jasrangi, which, you know, was created by Pandit Jasraj-ji, who basically made two different rags, you know, he combined it and made it sound like one. So the song also in the album is actually, there are two different rags, but it sounds like one song. So it's all mathematics, and he came up with that himself. So for me, I was like, my mind was blown when I read this.
In fact, there's some trivia. Charlie Puth and John Mayer were in the same class at Berkeley.
Oh, is
The Berklee
it?
College
I'm
of
a
Music.
huge fan of both of them.
And there was a time they were making a lot of music together, and the professors thought they'd probably be in a band together, but then they went, you know, they
They
became
separated.
solo artists. But both were very naughty in college, is what a Berkeley professor once told me who was traveling to India.
Oh, wow. In fact, there's a John Mayer song that I always said, you know, you tell your girlfriends that this is a song I want to dance to at my wedding. It's actually a John Mayer song for me.
Which one is that?
It's called Slow Dancing
Oh
in
my
the Burning Room.
God,
I know
what
it's
a
not the
song.
happiest song, but there's something about that song that just makes me feel like this is how I would want to feel protected with my lover and dance to this
Terrific.
song.
And have you been filming, or have you caught any of the gigs? We've had Maroon 5 in town. We've had Lollapalooza with all these wonderful
Yes,
artists.
yeah.
We had Ed Sheeran.
Yes,
Did you manage to catch
yes.
any of them?
I went for Ed Sheeran's concert, which was amazing, and then Diljit Dosanjh just coming as a surprise package
I
at
love
the
the
end.
circular
was
stage.
Yeah, there's so many people.
You know, I love that
Yeah.
wherever you
It was
were, you
rotating,
could get that,
yes,
you know,
yeah,
it's
a
not-
360
360
sort of,
degree
yeah.
stage, which
It's
is so
phenomenal.
beautiful.
And I love that he called, was it his violinist on stage?
Yes.
So I'm actually a
Yeah.
huge fan of
For,
Hans Zimmer as well.
for Galway Girl,
Yes,
which is a
yes.
violin song.
And I loved that. I love when she came on stage, and I'm hoping
You're a
to
Zimmer
catch.
fan,
I'm a
eh?
huge fan, so I'm hoping to catch. He's performing this year. My brother went last year, and I couldn't go. I missed Maroon 5 unfortunately because we were promoting at that point. But it's amazing that all these artists are coming to, India, and our own artists, are
And
doing
they're
such a phenomenal.
gobsmacked. Maroon 5, when Adam Levine came and he saw all of us there.
Yeah.
And this was 35,000 people at the Maharashtra race course.
Yeah.
His jaw just hung loose.
I'm so happy.
And he said, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." People said, "You want to come to India?" I said, "Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
We're on way back from the Middle East or wherever. And look, I'm going to come back, play more cities."
Yeah. Even Dua Lipa, I went for her concert.
Yeah, she was so good.
In fact, I want to also add, like you were saying, and this is this is not any disrespect to any of the other radio stations, but the way Indian radio stations, just the way they make you feel, like, because we're so emotive as Indians in general that I think we're the best. Because when I listen to radio channels abroad, I'm just like, I'm like, you're nothing compared to the ones we have at home, because I just feel as an audience also, we're so emotive. We will let you know if we love you, and if we don't like you also, we will let you know.
True.
So it's really fun to go for concerts in India as well.
I love the fact that Dua Lipa came in there. She did this 2-hour performance with a live band.
Yes.
Which even Justin Bieber didn't do when he came in. He was singing -1 and he was alone on stage with the dancers.
Okay.
And she was also dancing and singing. The breath control is insane.
It's impeccable.
Impeccable,
And
which I
also
thought
the
was
impact
amazing.
that she has. I remember seeing little girls, they must have been 10 years old, and I also saw, older women and men equally enjoy her performance. So that is something that's captivating, and that's beautiful for me as an artist to see that this is the impact she has. She's making that little girl happy, and she's making that, elderly man happy as well through her music. And she performed like a dream.
Is there a movie maker that you want to work with, or you don't want to put it out there?
No, I do. I'm manifest. No. I want to work with a whole bunch of them. There's a massive, very, very, very long list. To name a few, I love Imtiaz Ali sir, who I've had been lucky to do a short film with. I really want to be directed by Aditya Chopra. I would die to work with Rajamouli. My most favorite international director is David Fincher. Love all of his work. And interestingly, I don't know why, but I really want to be directed by Farhan Akhtar, because I think he's an impeccable actor. But I love his movies. Like, I love Dil Chahta Hai. It did something, to me. Like, Karan Johar's movies, Farhan Akhtar's movies, all of their movies have, really
Let's not forget Farhan directed Laksh, which is one of the finest movies to come out.
Absolutely. And it really, I saw an interview, I think it was Javed Saab's interview, or it was Farhan himself who spoke about how, the army institution basically said that they saw an increase in the numbers of entrants that, came that year, which I'm like, this is the power of cinema, And I'm an army grandkid in a way. So
your Nana or your Dada?
My Nana ji was in the army, yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Was he in the Armored Corps, or was he in the Air Force?
No, he was
in the army.
Yes, in the army. And I live in an army society, in fact, even to this day.
Yeah? Is that in Kolaba and Navy Nagar?
No, so it's in Andheri.
Okay.
So my mum used to live in Kolaba, but now they created this sort of society for Air Force, Army, Navy in Andheri for retired officers. So it's quite...
Don't give the building name, otherwise people will come and stop.
Yeah, I'm not. But I'm just saying, every Republic Day and Independence Day, it's beautiful to see everybody in their uniform come, and and their stories is just it's absolutely phenomenal.
So the Mehta family and
Mehta Boys.
Mehta Boys. Is there anything else you're filming for?
Not that I can speak about it.
I figured. Well, just so I can have you back in studio
it gives me reason to meet you again. Hopefully very, very soon.
I had this is just the most 44 minutes I've had in a while.
No, that's so kind.
It's so lovely, and I wish you all the best. You're wonderful, and
Thank you.
You're really a wonderful actor, and you've found more and more ways of tapping into various emotions that you can display on screen and give us joy.
No, thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
Thanks very much. Yeah, and see you soon.
Yes, very, very soon.
Guys, Bandish Bandits is still streaming on Prime Video. Please go give it a lot of love. Watch it. Yeah, okay, all right.
94.3 Radio 1.